Okay, so I think you're still able to hear me. Okay, so people are joining on, so we can get started. Hi everyone, thank you for joining on Sunday. My name is Mukesh Kala. I am a three-time UiPath Most Valuable Professional, and today I am going to walk you through the updates which UiPath product is having. Now, why this update is necessary and why I wanted to cover this? Because some of us might be working in a company, in an organization, and there we might be using a different version, which might be, let's say, 21.10 or an older version. When you come to UiPath and you're using Community Edition, then you have a different version, and suddenly you realize that there is a lot which has changed in the product. So if you're working as an RPA developer, it is important for you to know that how the product looks like. So suddenly when your enterprise upgrade, you change the company, you don't feel surprises. And this was the same thing which I was getting a lot of comments from the subscribers in the chats, in the emails as well, that look and feel is different, right? So today in this webinar, we are going to see that what are the updates which has happened. I'm not going into deep details covering everything, but I'll tell you that what exactly are the features and where you can enable or disable them. Okay. So now what I would be doing is I would start sharing my screen, and you guys can just let me know in the chat that if you are able to see my UiPath Studio or not. Okay. And yes, are you guys able to see my UiPath Studio?
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. So here is my UiPath Studio. The first thing first, let us check which version I am working on, right? So you always can go to the home, and at the bottom you can see that I am in the 2023.8, right? So whenever UiPath talks about version, this means that this version which I am using is year 2023, and .8, it means that this is the August release, right? So UiPath is now 2023.8 version. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I have seen all the updates from 2022. So the major significant updates which you would see in every release, that is what we are going to cover today. Okay. So starting with the first one, and which is the major change, which as a developer you are going to see, is the data manager panel. Now data manager is a panel which is available for you to manage all your resources in the UiPath. When I talk about the resources, it can be variables, arguments, connections, assets, anything, whatever you manage as a developer, use in your automation, everything is now inside a data manager. Now, when I was talking in one of the previous sessions, somebody is getting confused with data services. Okay, I think somebody's asking for tea. Guys, I have to mute all of you. Chai थोड़ी बन जाएगी sir. I'll just unmute you all of you, right? Just
Sorry,
give you.
Rajesh. Sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm so very sorry. I was not on mute. Okay.
I'll just mute everybody, right?
Okay, it's okay. Okay.
Okay, cool. So whenever I talk about data manager, right, most of the people confuse it with the data services, right, which we have as a service where you can store the data, right? This is not that. Okay, now where exactly is this located? You come to your UiPath Studio, and here you have something which is called data manager. Now, this is a place where you can see everything: process, assets, queues, connection, namespaces. You have this filter button here, which has got a lot of features, lot of functionalities, right? So if you click on this filter button here, you would see that you can manage everything in this single window. Let's start with variables and arguments, because that is what we use the most. Okay, so I'll just go here and I'll delete all this variable, or I think it would be good if I just create a new sequence. Okay, I'll just create a new sequence, and yeah, here it is. Now in the data manager, as you can see, I have the variables and then I have the arguments. Okay, let me just delete this one. I think it's coming from the project. So I'll just delete this. We'll discuss about this global variable also. So don't worry about it. Okay, now Some of you, whenever you start your UiPath Studio, you would not see this wizard, variable and argument, right? And I was getting 2 or 3 comments where people are saying that, sir, we are not getting this variable and arguments here, right? Why that is so? Because with the new design, if you go to the start, if you go to the settings, okay, in your design here, you have this option at the bottom which says show data manager panel only, and whenever you update UiPath Studio, this option is by default on. So if I toggle this on, what would happen? For managing my variable resources, I would only see the data manager. I won't see that variables, arguments, and that import panel, right? So initially, to get a company to the data manager is a bit different because it's a sudden switch. So in case you are still comfortable with the previous one, you can go toggle on that setting and you will see this option here. Okay. Now, whenever I have to work with data manager, the first thing first you need to remember, you can see all these options here, but at a time, let's say today, I only have to work on variable and arguments. I can choose that what all resources I want to use. So that is the filter option. This is a small window, but it has got a lot of features here. So let's talk about variables. Okay. One way of creating the variables is we go here, we create the variable is from the activities. The other way is you can simply go to the data manager, go to the variables. Here you see something which is called new variable. Click on that and see the variable is automatically created here and it is available here as well, right? So let's say I am calling this variable as str_name. You can define the type, default value, everything remains same and variable created. Let's say I have a nested sequence. Okay, so this is the sequence. I'll call it as a child. And let's say I have one more sequence here. I call this as, let's say, child2, or let's call it child2. I'll call this sequence as main. Okay. So I have a main sequence, then I have a child sequence, and then I have a child2 sequence. Now, if I have to create a variable which is only restricted to this child1, you can click on this and you can create a variable here, right? That we all know. So let's say I have to create a variable only for this child scope. I want to have it in the limited scope. So I can go here, new variable. I'll call this as child1 variable. And here you have this scope, which is available now here in a proper visible way. So I'm saying that this only is restricted to child, and that's it. So you can directly create variables from the data manager. Now, one another thing is, let's say I have to write a automation where I have to get a data from the queue and I have to read all of that data into an automation and I have to create 10 variables. Now, what do we ideally do? We go here, we create 10 variables one by one by one. But it is, we can do it, but it is not a very user-friendly way to create variables here. Data manager provide you to bulk create variables. You can simply click on this variable, right click here, and you have this option which is called bulk create variables. And see this, right? You can create as many variables as you want. Select the type directly here, choose the scope like this, provide a default value like this. See? Can go here, child2, close. You can create multiple variables directly with UiPath Data Manager. This is called the bulk update. And this is a feature which was there for 2022.10. Okay. The other feature which this data manager has, now if you see here, I have got a lot of variables. Now on the top, you have this 2 arrows, which is called sync with active scope. Now think like that you have written a very big automation. It has got 10, 20, 50 sequences, lot of automation, if else. Now you want to know which variables I can use in child2, right? I can simply click on this button, which is child2. Okay, let me just pin this data manager first. Okay, I can click on this child2 and then I can say here, these 2 arrows, sync with active scope. Now what would happen? I would only get the variables which are available or applicable to child2. If I click my mouse on child1, you would notice that this window automatically showing you that if you are using in child 2, you can only use this variable, right? So no more of using a variable, then increasing a scope. And in case the variable is not available, you can clearly see here that, okay, for child 2, I only have these variables. If you want someone, just go here and edit it. So this is sync with active scope. There is one other feature which is called group item by scope, just here. If I click on that and I toggle this off, the exact same structure which you see here is now visible on your data manager panel. So for the variable, it is showing me that you have a sequence, then you have a child 1 sequence, and then you have a child 2 sequence. In the child 1 sequence, you have this variable. In the child 2 sequence, you have these two variables, right? So that you don't have to worry about, okay, what is the scope, what is all of that, right? Everything can be now managed directly with the data manager panel. Okay. Now, one more thing here is these same options, whichever I shown, are applicable to the arguments as well, right? So arguments definitely do not have a scope, but you can create arguments here like this. In out, you can decide. And let's say this is arg1. Okay. Argument is created here. See, all this filter by scope, sorting, everything is available here. Okay, I didn't talk about sorting, right? So here you have one more option which is called, I think here it is. I'll just hit a quick refresh. I'll go to the variables. I can right click on the variables and you have an option to sort the variable. When I say sort, sort it by name, sort it by scope, all of that is applicable. You can use this one here to expand all, collapse all. If you have created a variable that's not visible, refresh it. Right click here. You have this option here, bulk read variables. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this window has got a lot of features which as a developer we can utilize. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you can just use the chat. I have muted everybody so that we can hear because there was some background noise. So that you can do here. Okay, now at any point of time, let's say you have created variables and then you decide, okay, I wanted to have an argument, or you have created an argument and then you thought that, okay, I want to have a variable. This was previously available, but people, if you don't know, let's say you have this variable you created and then later you realized, okay, this has to be an argument. You can right click on that and you can say convert to argument. And now that variable would be automatically converted to the argument. Okay, if let's say this arg1 is an argument and I want to convert it to a variable, that option is available here also. Convert to a variable. See, arg1 is here. Again, you felt that, okay, now it's again going to be an argument. I can right click and I say convert to an argument. So you can interchangeably use variable and argument. Okay, I would take a pause. How many of you have heard of global variables, right? Just let me know in the chat, yes or no. Have you heard of the term global variable and are you using it currently? Okay. Okay, so let me ask the question differently. How many of you have not heard of global variable? Okay, you don't know that there is a concept of global variable. Okay, fine. So I see some of the no's and some of the yes. Okay, cool. Now with this 2022.10 update, UiPath has brought a concept of global variable. Now, what exactly is a global variable, right? So for example, I have this main sequence and I have this sequence. Similarly, I have multiple different. Now, I want to have a value which I want to use in all the automation workflows. To give an example, something like a config value, which I have at the beginning, and that value I use it in the complete project. Now, let's say I want to have a variable which I want to use in my all projects. I can create something which is called global variable. You go to the variable here, click on this plus button and select the variable name. So let's say I'll call it as global var. In your scope, you have something which is called global. select that. And let's say what do you value want to give. So let's say the default value I want to give is, let's say, I'll give it as RPA. Okay. My global variable is created. Now what exactly is a global variable? I'll save this. Now if you see here, I am in the sequence. If I go to this main.xaml, which is a new XAML, and I go to the, see here you are not able to see, but if you go to the data manager, you would see that the same global variable with a value of RPA is available here. Now, where can I use it? So let's say I want to use that variable in this in this place, right? I can simply use it in any way wherever you use a variable, something like write line. So I use write line, and now here I can just pass that variable which I have created in a different workflow, which is also having a value, global variable I'm using here, and I can utilize. If I run it, it will print RPA. The good part about the global variable is you can change its value. So let's say in the main sequence, I felt that I need to have a value of RPA. I can use an assign activity, drag and drop it here. Okay, and I can say that this global variable, now I want to have a value of UiPath, and that way I would be able to use the global variable across the automations. Okay, there are some things which you need to remember when you are using global variables, is that you can edit the value of the global variable, but once the global variable is created, you cannot change the name, type, or the scope. It's not like that today you have created a global variable and tomorrow you decide that no, I don't want to have it as a global variable. You can only edit the value by using the assign activity, that panel, but you cannot change the name, type, and the scope. Okay, so that is the global variable. Same like this one. Okay, with this new update, I would say, of UiPath 2022.10, let's say I want to have duplicate variables. I want to copy paste my variables. So previously it was difficult to manage and copy paste it from here. But with this new update, you can actually copy paste the variables argument and you can reuse them. So if I go to my sequence here, I go to the data manager, you would notice that here I have these variables. You can just right click on that, copy, then right click, and I say paste. And you will see that child2_1. So whatever variable name you have, UiPath will put _1 and it will copy the same resource, right? You can copy and again paste, and it will keep getting the variable again, right? So that is also a functionality which is available for you, which is called copy and paste. Okay. Now, one more best practice, right? I always tell that whenever we write automation, we should always follow the best practices. Now here I have created a lot of variables, but let's say there is a team of 5, 10, 20 developers. How would they know what this variable is doing? You have an option to add annotations. You can right click on any variable. You have this option here, which is called add annotation. And I can say that this is to store the name, something like that. Okay, and you see this comment type of symbol, keep your mouse, and it says that this is to store the name, right? So you can add annotations here so that you can actually remember yourself, or you can guide your fellow developers that why I have created this variable. Okay, so that was annotation. You can add, remove, delete, right? Everything is applicable till this point also. Now, if I go to this window here, click on this button, you see that I have variables, arguments, and then there is something which is called constants. Constant is something which is announced by UiPath in 2022.10, and now it is available for us. Now, constant, as the name suggests, is a value which we cannot change throughout the automation. So let's say you have some value which you do not want any developer to change, but you want it to be used. You can use something which is called constant. Can anybody tell me what would be the value which I want to store in a constant, right? What would be the value which I can store in a constant, which I do not want to change during the automation? Anything which comes to your mind? What do you think? Q item. Username. Okay, Vishnu says Q item. So Vishnu, Q item would be something, right, where the Q item will change. So first transaction, it would be, let's say Mukesh, second transaction Vishnu. So now whatever I do with Mukesh, the next time I have to do with Vishnu, right? So it's changing. Yes, Mayank says value of pi, correct, right? Value of pi 3.14777 something, right? It won't change, so I can use it as a constant. I'll give example. Ravinder says login credential, right? We'll see why we cannot use that. Retry number can be a good option, right? Company name. Okay, so I am using an automation and I am writing a automation for tutorials by Mukesh Kala. Throughout the automation, my company name is going to be fix, right? I can create something which is called constant and it would be available to all the workflows, which means that if I create a new constant here, okay, see, name of the constant, I'll call this as name underscore comp, okay, anything. What is the data type? Now see here, you can only have constant of these types which are visible here. I select, let's say string, and I give it a value of, let's say tutorials by Mukesh Kala, and I say, okay. Now my constant is created in the sequence. I'll save this. I'll go to the main. And here, let's try to use it, right? So in the right line, similarly, I was using global variable. And this time, I would try to use the, okay, pi value 3.14, name underscore company, right? So I go here and I say name underscore company. I can use it. It will print the value, whatever we have got. Krishan, if I'm using pi, it will print the pi. But what happen if I attempt to change it? So if I go here name and I say name corp and next I'm trying to put UiPath, it is giving me error right away here, which says that, see, option allow conversion of this. It is only a read only property. Okay. Read only property means it is the same thing. People who have a background of .NET, you can actually create variables. You specify them read only. In the Java also that happens. UiPath will not allow you to use that, and it's not like that you can use it and then compile, right? Compilation itself will not happen. So you cannot change the value of the constants. Okay. So that is the constant, right? Can anybody tell me what is the difference you found between global variable and assets? Similarity, I'll tell you. Similarity is you can use it anytime, anywhere in the workflow, right? What is the difference? What is the difference you felt when you see the difference between global variable and the constant, right? Tell me the difference. Let's see if you have noticed that or not. Reassign. Exactly, right? You can change the data type. Yes. So I'm not going into much detail, guys, right? I just wanted to know, tell you that these are the features which are available, right? On our channel, there are dedicated playlists where we have explained all of these features one by one, but you should know, right? So you can always watch the videos, but I would request you to explore it yourself. Okay. So if you go to the here, let me quickly show you where are the playlist. Okay. Tick, 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 tick. So this was our global variable, and meanwhile, I'll just quickly show that also to you. Yeah, so here, this is our channel. If you go to the playlist, okay, time to time, I am now next going to come up with a new update, which is 23.8. I'm still working on that. So if you see here, there is a playlist which is called okay, yeah, UiPath Product Updates. This one. Okay, this one, UiPath Product Updates, is a playlist where I have got around 19 videos, 23 word, 22, all of these are visible here. Somebody is asking, do you have any modern browser? Yes, we are exploring the complete design experiences in UiPath here, which is classic versus modern. If you have no idea about classic versus modern, watch this playlist, you will get idea from scratch, right? We have databases. All of this we are exploring time to time. Right? Okay, so now the next feature is, let's say I go to the properties here in the data manager, sorry. We have created this constant. I'll delete this. And in the data manager only, you have a lot of features, right? So now here you can see I can have the queue, assets, processes. These are all the things which our orchestrator have. So if I say assets, queues. Now the good part about this is I can see all the assets which are available in this folder, which is called the unattended folder. See, all the resources I can see here, which are all the queues which I have created: password reset, employee name, DU invoices, all the queues I am seeing here. The other good part is you simply can use drag and drop this from the data manager on your canvas, and UiPath will automatically select, suggest you activity. What do you want to do? So let's say I want to use a get asset. I click on that, and you would notice that UiPath will pre-populate this complete thing for you. So I've just selected it. Let's see. This same is applicable to your queues as well. Okay, yeah. It's double click. It's not a single click. It's a double click. Right? Now, if you see here, get asset, correct folder is already selected. I have 3 folders in my orchestrator. Unattended folder, which is the asset name. I just use drag and drop. Similarly, if I try to get some queues, so let's say this is the queue, employee name. I drag and drop this employee queue here. What do you want to do? I want to use bulk add queue item, add transaction item, get trans. What do I want to do? Let's say I want to use get queue items. Double click on it, and it will automatically pre-populate this activity for you. One other good part about this queues and asset is that whichever asset or queues you want to use, right? I'll just hit I'll maximize this. A quick refresh here. Okay, you can right click on that, and you have this option which is called view asset. Now if I click on that, see what happens. It will automatically go to my, see, I have not opened my orchestrator. At the bottom you see edge is getting fired up. It will automatically go to the orchestrator you are connected to. It will go to the correct folder, and even it will go to that correct asset which you have chosen from UiPath Studio, right? The only prerequisite should be that you are connected to the orchestrator, then only you are seeing this, right? So now you don't need to go to orchestrator, log in there, go to the assets, go to that folder, and then you can just right click on any of them and say view the asset, view the queue, and see we have just opened it. We'll just wait for it to sign in. It is sign in by the same ID, and see exactly searching the asset for me here and showing me the asset directly for me to edit, do anything here, right? And see, I have got a tenant, and then in the tenant I have got 3 folders. So it was automatically able to guide me through that. The same would happen if I just go for some queues. Right click, view the queue, and it will open the orchestrator, login, search, filter, and get me to the exact location where the queue is, right? So see, employees queue, 3 items, whatever you want to do, you can do it here. Okay. And when we are talking about orchestrator, guys, so this is the new version of modern orchestrator. The classic design is gone now. UiPath has shifted to the modern, which is a concept of tenant and folders. Okay. In case you are new to the orchestrator and you want to know more, right? Last week also I have announced the same course, right? Again, I am announcing it for people who don't know that I have got my first paid partnership with Graphy by Unacademy, and we have sorry, let me just open it here. mukeshkala.graphy.com, that is the website which I have, and you would have also enrolled there, right? So if you go to the courses, and you have this course here, which is by me only, right? So we are giving some, I think 35% discount to the first enrollment. Yeah, first 100, right? So people have already enrolled, and this are all the things which you are going to get into it. Orchestrator key benefits, tenant folders, this, right? So all of that I have explained in that video. You are free to explore, and I think we still have some here. I can see 10 enrolled today, and then we are getting 35% off. Okay, so okay, somebody's asking for the link, so I'll put it directly here. Okay, so this is the link for you guys. You can just watch it, and it's not a compulsion for you guys to buy, but just to share that we have this here. Okay, so coming back to my this one, you have this option here. If I click on this, you can see here, I can manage the process, entities, connection, namespaces. All of these things are available in a single packed window, which is called a data manager. Okay. Now, this was about 2022.10. Okay. And then 2022.10 also gave us some very interesting features, which I am going to show you now, which is called, let me just give me one moment. I'll just open that presentation. Yeah, this one, which is called editors and builders. Okay, now what do you mean by editors and builder? You might have seen it, but you might have not used it, or you might be not aware of. Okay, so let's say I am writing an expression. Okay, let me show that as well. So I am writing an expression here, right line. Okay, now string concatenation, right? We do string hi plus my name is Mukesh. So I use hi, then I hit a plus, then I use a variable, right? We do a lot of I would say VV syntax that also I use in my code. With this new version, wherever you have to write text, you can click on this small plus button here. You have something which is called open the text builder. Okay, I select here open the text builder. Okay, it has opened a simple for me, but it is very powerful. See, I can use something like this. My first is a my. Then what do I want to do? I want to use the next string as name. Then I want to use some variable. So I can directly create variable also here. Okay, so here use a variable. Okay, I think I forgot the variable name. Yeah, like this. Key Excel resources. Okay, let me just, yeah. See, this is what I was showing. Just taking some time. See, I just write only two variables or two string, and UiPath automatically did that thing for me. So wherever you have this option where you want to format the strings, where you can write this thing, right? It can be a message box, it can be a mail body, wherever you can think that we write manipulation and all, you can actually use something which is called this option. You just have to click on this plus button, and you have this option which is called open the text builder. Then you have something which is called advanced editor, and that opens this complete thing for you in an editor mode. Okay. There is also something which is called the expression editor. Now, what do I mean by an expression editor? You simply can go here, and let's say I want to write some expression. I'll open this here in an advanced editor, and here I can say variable. Okay, variable 1. And then what do I want to do with that variable? I can say that I can put a dot, let's say toString. Okay, and then I want to concatenate it with something, and then I want to create a new variable. So previously we used to close this window, go back here, then create variable. Here you can just create control plus K, and you can create a new variable here only. So I can say that this is a new variable. I can say enter, and I'll say save. And see, This is created here, and you have the variable also created directly, which is called new variable. So basically in the expression editor, while you are writing the expression and you felt the need of a variable, you can just hit Ctrl+K, create the variable. Similarly, you can press Ctrl+M and it will create that thing for you. Okay. The other thing is people who are coming from experience background, right? You might have seen whenever I have to use some activity called delay, delay before, delay after, we used to write 3000, 4000, 5000, and we used to get confused at whether it is milliseconds, it is second or what, right? But now if this with latest version, it is very intuitive, right? If I want to have it for 1 minute, you can just use these arrows. See, you can click in here and you can use these arrows. So it clearly means that I am putting a delay of 10 minutes. Sometime I have seen developer writing 30 and thinking that it is 30 seconds. Ideally, in the classic world, it was to have 3000 means 3 seconds, right? Quite confusing. It was in milliseconds. But with this one, it is very easy, right? See, you can use it here like this. Not only this, you have got the date and time selector also. So let's say I go here and I say postpone. There is an activity which can postpone the queue items. Now, previously as a developer, I was also confused, right? What should be the date format? What should be the time format? What should I give, right? With this new update, UiPath has given us the direct calendar here. See, now I want to postpone it. I easily can see here that, okay, I want to postpone it till 21st of September, till this time I can use it and job is done, right? So this is called a date and time selector, which is also a feature of 2022.10. Okay. There is something which is called condition builder. Our traditional activity called if, right? You would be using it a lot. If activity. Now we can write definitely the expression here. If my name is Mukesh and today is Sunday, do this and that, right? But click on this plus button and you have something which is called this one. You can write the condition directly here. Okay. Now you have a, I can show it to you in the presentation so that we can spend some time on the new features. You have condition builder where you can write condition like this. If the read cell is greater than 1000, add a new condition, keep adding. You have something which is called duration editor, which I have already shown. You have a date and time selector. You have an expression editor where you can write the expression. Okay. And what else we left? Collection builder. Let's say you want to have a collection of all the fruits. I can use an activity called build collection, which is having all this option, and you no need to write new list of string and then put the values. You can directly use this UI and it will create the collection for you in the background. You have a dictionary builder. I want to have a dictionary where I want to use the username and the password. Previously, I used to build a new string of username / secure credential, then initialize the dictionary, then add the value, right? 3-step process, everything done in a single activity called a dictionary builder. Filter builder, right? So let's say you have an email and you are iterating a lot of emails for each activity you are using. Now in the for each, I can use like this, where attachment name is report, date and time is this. No need to write that complete in if statement, go to your UiPath forum, search the syntax and everything. You have all these options embedded directly inside the activities, which is called filters and builders. Okay. So that was 2022.10. After that, we have got a release which is called 2023.4. Okay. In the 2023.4, the major highlight, I won't say it highlight, but you have got this option here, which is called a search by description. You can actually search any activity by just writing the description here. Like this. Okay. I want to, let's say, work on queue items. See? So this does not, I'm not saying that this is 100% true, but let's say someday, sometime you know that, okay, what I am supposed to do, but you're not getting the activity, right? So you can use this option. I would say try this option. Sometime it does not work, but sometime it works. Search by description is available here. You can just write the description of the activity, what you want to do, and it should work. Okay. The important feature which we got in this update was live streaming over remote control. Absolutely genius feature, and I am using it, which means that if there is an automation which is running in my, sorry, my bad, I'll go to orchestrator. Where is my orchestrator? Here is an orchestrator, right? There are some of the jobs, let's say, which are running in my orchestrator, and I got some failure. Now, the people who are working, they would understand that whenever an unattended robot works, it works in the background. And as a developer, you don't have the control that what is happening in that machine. If anything breaks, we have to wait for the admin guy who will log into that machine, who will do something, and then we actually go and troubleshoot. With this new update, UiPath has launched something which is called live streaming and remote control. Whatever the robot is doing in an unattended mode, you as a developer would be able to see that in your machine. Not only that, you would be able to control the same thing from your computer as well. Okay, so I want to quickly show you this video, which is here. Okay, this is again available on our channel 23.4 update. Okay, but I'll just explain this video to you here. Okay, so I have this automation. Okay, I have two computer here, right? See the first computer, which is orchestrator. The second computer is an unattended machine where the actual automation is going to execute. Okay, let me just increase this to 1080p. Okay, so this is my first computer where I have orchestrator. This is my unattended machine. Okay, now from this first computer, I have triggered an automation. Automation is running in an unattended machine where I don't have access to, which is a different computer. Now, if you see here, I have got a message box in that unattended robot. Somehow it is just a message box, but it can be anything, right? An additional pop-up, unexpected pop-up, unexpected Excel pop-up, some macro, something it has got. Now the simple, somebody has to go and click OK on that so that this automation continues. But since that is in an unattended computer, I cannot do anything, right? Because it is working in different server, different machine altogether. What should I do? I have to wait. I have to go to the admin, talk to them. He will log in. He will stop the job and navigate. With this update of .4, from your orchestrator only, which is your first computer, see here, you can see that the job is still running and it has got something, right? Long running workflow where the job was expected to finish, but still running. And you want to see that what is happening. You can go here on the first computer and see. For that job, you have got something which is called open the live streaming. In the computer one, in the UiPath orchestrator, I say open the live streaming. UiPath is connecting to the live streaming of that computer, and whatever is happening on that computer, the same would be visible to you directly on your orchestrator C. So whatever is happening, it's visible to me on my actual orchestrator. No additional software. I can take a remote control from the top. See, at the top I have a button which says take the remote control. I can click on that button, and now whatever I do on my orchestrator, see, I am selecting here, it is getting selected there. Now from my orchestrator, all I have to do is just close that additional pop-up, hit OK, close it, discard it, minimize it, right? So I click from the computer one, I say OK, and the automation will automatically continue on the second computer. How cool is that? Right? So this feature is called live streaming over remote control, and that was a feature which was available for you in the orchestrator. Now to set up that, you need to have some setup, tight VNC client, you need to enable some softwares and everything, but you can try it on your own. Dedicated videos are again available on the channel for your references. Okay. There was one more important feature which was called exception screenshots. Okay, what that means is, let me quickly go back here on my channel. Okay. We have created a video, so I cannot do it because we need to have that setup, right? So this was the video, live streaming and remote control. There is one more option which is called job recording. Okay, so the people who are coming from an RE framework background, you have an activity called take screenshot, right? Which take the screenshot, it save it in a folder, then you go, you analyze it, and then you find out that what has happened, right? With this new update, you have a feature which is called job recording. Okay, this is on my channel again. Here it is, job recording, where what happens as soon as you get any exceptions, we can, or not we, orchestrator automatically records the last 30 seconds, 10 seconds, and you are able to see that directly in the orchestrator. See, for all the faulted jobs, okay, I'll just maximize it here. Okay, so this was an automation. Okay, I'll just play this. Right, this is an automation. The robot is working. It clicked on hash. This is a test, something it is doing, and suddenly what happened that it crashed. Okay, it has got some exception. Selector not found exception, variable was not there, any exception it has got. Now what would happen? It would crash directly in the UiPath Studio, and you would be able to see that, hey, something has been faulted here. Now, traditionally we used to see the logs and all, that is still applicable, but with this new option, you have this option on this I button, which is called the scroll down here. That is the same place which says that, okay, the notepad was not available. That is the classic selector error. But if I want to know more that why the selector was not open, you have this option which is called the recording type, that records the job why it was faulted. So I can go here and I can say open the recording, and whatever has happened is available for me as a video of a 30 seconds. So last 30 seconds orchestrator has recorded, and I can see this directly in my browser only, that what has happened. Not only this, you can also take screenshots, right? And these options are available directly for you in the orchestrator. No additional setup required. So I'll go back to my orchestrator. Let's say I'll go to the automations. Okay, when you are setting up a process, you can just edit the process. Okay, and in your additional settings, when you are creating a process, you have this option here. See, do you want to have the live streaming? You can use this. You want to have a job recording? You can enable this. Now, how do you want to have that? Do you want to have it as a video? Do you want to have as a screenshot? If you select screenshot, how many screenshots you want? So as soon as the process is getting faulted, every 40 seconds, UiPath orchestrator will take screenshot, 40-second first screenshot, second screenshot, third, fourth, sixth, and you have a couple of screenshot to watch it. If you want it as video, just select the videos, right? So all these options were available as part of the 23.4 update for you. Okay. Now after 23.4, recently, last 2 months back, we have got something which is called 23.6 update. 23.6 means the year is 23, and you have got update in the month of June. Some major prominent update was this. Okay, so let me quickly show it to you. I have two activities. Okay, let me just take some activity like build data table. Okay, here it is, build data table. Now the build data table will generate a data table for you. That data table, you have to use it in the next activity. Okay, now let's say after building the data table, I have used some activity called, let's say, get credentials here, which is getting you the username and the password. So I can just select here unattended folder. I will select the Outlook credential, right? Automatically it is writing, so I do not need to go to the orchestrator, find all of this. If I go to the properties, you would notice here, there is something which is here. It is automatically showing me that, Mukesh, I have got these values and I have stored it here, but these are not the actual variables. See, now, whenever you are using these activities and you have the values which are coming from UiPath, see in the properties, These two are already here. Now let's say I want to use this in some other automation in, let's say, write line or type into activity, right? And I want to use the username. Now I do not have to create a variable control plus K, go there and all. You can just use this option here, this plus button. You have this option which is called use the variable, and it is showing me all the variables which are there existing along with the get credential and this. So we have not created the variable. As soon as I say get credential username, the variable out this underscore username automatically created, and now it would be available for in the variable panel as well. And now if you go to the get credential and see the properties, this variable is automatically created. Similarly, whenever you want to use it at somewhere, just click on this plus button and say use variable, and it will give you the complete tree, thus select which activity from which. So that's called auto generated variables. Okay. There is a very good update which is called formatting activities. Okay. And I'll just show you this as well. 23.4 auto generated variables are there. Then you have something which is called formatting activities. Whenever I was doing a string manipulation, I have to write it in an assign activity, dot place, dot replace, all of that. With this update, UiPath gave me 4 things which you can easily do: extract text between 2 strings, extract the emails, extract the URLs, extract text from HTML code, find and replace. 2 activities, but doing a lot of tasks for us. Explained in detail in the video .6. Please watch that video to know that. But just to give an example, right? You have an HTML text. You have extracted a big text. Now from that, what do you want to extract? You can just specify the source text, source code, and it will give you. Find and replace. I have a big email text which I have the robot has read and I want to replace. Previously, you are writing yourself code to replace. With this find and replace, you want to replace once, replace all, everything, all the options are available directly in the activity, part of 23.6 automation. Okay. Coded automation is a feature which is also now available. For the people who have not seen it, it is right here in the new button, which is called coded workflow. For the people who understand it, so in case you are coming from a .NET or a C# background, where you want to have some additional control on the code and you are not happy with whatever the activity is doing, you can write your own .NET and the C# code right away in the orchestrator. So I can go here, new, I say coded workflow, I can say create, and it will automatically generate a .cs file for me. And same like I code in Visual Studio, now as a developer, you can code in my UiPath Studio. Apart from that, there is one more thing which you might have noticed, you might have not noticed, that any files which you ever have kept in the UiPath Studio, you do not need an external app to open that. So if you have some file, let's say a JSON file, or you have something, let's say .txt file. Previously, we used to go to the open folder and then open and then see. With this new version, you just double click on the file. Everything is applicable in the studio itself, right? It is adding dependencies for coded workflow. And once it is available, you would be able to see that. Okay. So we are on time, guys. So this is what I have to cover in the sessions. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, you can just write in the chat. I'll just give unmute permission after some time. Let me just show that option as well. Okay, so coded automation. Yeah, see here. Now you can see I can directly write my coded automation here .cs file, right? For the people coming from .NET and the C# background, right? Now, if you see here in the project, I have this JSON file, project.json file, right? Previously, if I have to do something, I used to go here, open the project folder, do all of that, and that open it in a notepad and all editing, right? You can directly double click the file here, and it should open the JSON directly here for you to edit, update, and all. I remember doing this update. You would see the videos on the channel where we are editing this .json file in some of the Excel videos in Notepad and all, right? That is gone. You can just open. So project is open, so definitely I cannot edit it, but I can see all the properties, right? So this files, code files are now directly can open in the UiPath Studio. Okay, so with this, I'll just quickly stop my sharing and you guys can give me feedback on the chat. You are free to write this feedback on LinkedIn also. You can write me an email, and it is mandatory to learn JSON coding. See, JSON is not a coding Christian, right? JSON is a way you transfer the data from one place to another place. So let's say you are hitting an API. Now, the thing which you need to know is how do you read the JSON and convert it to a format which you can use. So let's say I am hitting an API which is giving me information that how is the weather in Karnataka. So it will give me the weather in Karnataka is this. Now, how do I convert it? Let's say the JSON is giving you a table, rows and columns. How do you convert it to a data table? So if you are working as an RP developer, I believe that yes, it is not mandatory but important, because you never know when you have to work on a project which is dealing with JSON and all, right? So it is always good to have the basics of JSON. Okay, so let me see how we can allow, yeah. So now I think you guys would have option to unmute yourself, right? You can just write in the chat. I am going through the chat. And orchestrator folder name should maintain the same in dev, SIT, UAT, and prod. Not really, because your folder name is only restricted to that orchestrator. Now, let's say you are working for a client. You are my client. Vishnu is my client. I am the developer. But along with me, I have Krishan, Mayank. All of us are in the development environment. Mayank is working on a banking project. So Mayank has created a bank folder. Mukesh is working on insurance, so I created insurance. But when I give it to Vishnu, Vishnu is a client, right? He does not have the same folder. Vishnu is a client for me. He has his own structure, own hierarchy. So Vishnu would just have a new folder, something like business, client. So folder does not have anything to do with the code. Whenever you write the code and you publish and export it, it has nothing to do with the folder. That folder information, nothing to do. All you have to do is, let's say I have created some asset in my development folder. My folder name was ABCD. The same folder name I'll specify in the config. When you go to the client environment, you ask the client if they have the same environment ABCD, well and good. If they don't have it, what folder name they have, that folder name you would specify in your config file. Okay, so it is not necessary to maintain. The thing which you need to maintain is the config file. So whatever folder name you have specified in the config should be there in the orchestrator. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, Vishnu.
No.
Okay, great. So I think, yeah, you guys can unmute yourself.
Uh,
Feel free to write a feedback, guys. I would be happy to receive your feedbacks. You
so
can
first of
use
all,
LinkedIn. Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
so much. Actually आपके उससे इतना सीखने को मिला नया. बाकी सर एक्चुअली कुछ मेरे छोटे से डाउट्स थे. एक्चुअली अभी आप के वीडियोस देख के मैं प्रोडक्शन पे उसमें कर रहा हूँ. बट अभी जो मॉडर्न एक्टिविटीज आ रही है जैसे ब्राउजर में आई है या जो मेरे प्रीवियसली कलीग्स थे उन्होंने क्या है विंडो लेगेसी में अपने प्रोजेक्ट बना रखे हैं. बट
करेक्ट.
आगे आने वाले टाइम में तो विंडो लेगेसी को सपोर्ट करेगा नहीं, आई गेस.
यस एब्सोल्युटली. सो
केसेस
अगर
को हम लोग कैसे हैंडल कर रहे हैं, मतलब
हाँ,
वो कैसे माइग्रेट कर सकते हैं?
So UiPath के पास एक migration tool है. I'll just answer in English, Mayank, because I can see a diverse audience from Karnataka as well, right? So the question from Mayank is, we have created a project which was created in legacy. Now UiPath is moving toward the new activities, modern folders and all. How do we migrate, right? And what is the correct approach? The correct approach is UiPath has got a migration tool, first place, where you can just put the project and extract it. It does everything for you, but it does not work all the time. So what you have to do is you can use the migration tool to convert from Windows legacy to the newer, and then you have to test it. That is what UiPath also recommends, that you can use the migration tool, convert it, it should work. If it does not work, then you have to remove that activity and then drag and drop the same activity again. So take an example. If I was using a log message activity, which was working in my previous version, but with the new one, it is giving an update. I'll simply delete that log message activity, drag and drop the new one, and then set the properties. So that would be your approach. And we have
Okay.
a migration tool in place.
And my second question is, actually I have learned Python as well as actually some of my colleagues, they are using JavaScript to download some like any files from browser. So any JavaScript videos available in YouTube, so that will help us for automation.
It's
A
not
little
with
bit.
my channel. It's not with my channel. I don't have much expertise on this JavaScript and all, but I'll tell you the problem with JavaScript, right? JavaScript entirely works if the script is enabled on the browser. If I simply disable the script of JavaScript, your entire automation, entire code is done. And if you have UiPath as a tool, which can do this, all this scraping, everything just by a matter of click. If I have to extract the data, I can use extract data, get text, get native text, all these activities. OCR is available, right? Why do you want to write JavaScript, which has a huge dependency on the JavaScript plugin?
Because
Right?
as of my seniors, they are from like CS, and so that's why sometimes they want to say like you can use JavaScript.
Yeah, you
That's
can
much
definitely use
easier.
JavaScript, but if there is no activity which is available, right? Okay, I give you two options, right? One is to use drag and drop the activity, other to use the JavaScript, write it, compile it, run it, enable the plugin, do all of that, right? Which one would you prefer?
I just use drag and drop.
Right. So
So
we are using in a low code platform, right? So, but to
yes.
answer your question, yes, it is always good to know JavaScript always. I don't have any tutorial, but you can always go to UiPath. We have, I think, W3 schools, which has those tutorials I have seen. So you can,
Okay.
but I don't have it.
But
Sorry for, yeah.
in case if you
Uh,
in future if you need like a little bit, so that help us.
okay. Okay. I'll keep a note. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mayank. Okay, so Ravindra has a question. What should be the learning path as new versions are coming frequently? Okay, see, for you, the learning path, there is nothing called a learning path, Ravindra. So we are working in the developer world and it is starting again. It is always getting updated, right? Chat, GPT, all of these are coming. So as a developer, you no need to know everything. You cannot have everything. I still also don't know all the features, right? But at least I know what is available. So the best, what I would suggest you, whenever there is a new update, anything which is coming, right, just have a read through that. And if you have some time, just spend 1 hour, 1.5 hours in exploring the new updates. That's it. That should be enough for you. UiPath has got a lot of tool, UiPath, process mining, task mining, lot of things are available, right? Just go and read about that. And if you have time, watch the community webinar sessions and all, right? So as you have, I can see that you have that passion for learning, right? You are joining on a Sunday evening for this session, right? Just spare some time, at least 1 hour daily, to read about what's happening. And all of this information is available on UiPath forum. I'm not teaching anything special which I have created, right? I've just read the forum, converted to a video and presenting to all of you. So okay, great. So somebody says, Krishan, is there any video available for latest 2023 UiPath from scratch to advanced, right? It's difficult, Krishan, to create everything again from scratch to advanced. Reason for that is we have already created tutorials in English, Hindi, RE framework, and all those things, right? So if you follow that, that are still there. The only thing you can watch those playlists, get it, the learning done, but with the new features, the look and feel would be different. The core concept, the core automation concept is exactly the same, right? So to answer your question, the Hindi playlist which you see on the channel would be a bit latest, but I am planning to start a new, I would say whenever I get some time, I would start a new developer session in English, right, with the new updates, right? Let it stabilize because UiPath is going to have a stable update very soon. Once we have the stable update, then we can create tutorials on that. Okay, so for each activity of modern folder was not able to update the type argument. Okay, so this is the most common question which I also have. Thank you, Raghuveer, for bringing that up, right? So why it is not able to update that is because the for each activity, as soon as you pass the collection, it automatically takes that what kind of collection you have. If you pass it as a list of string, what would happen? The type argument would be automatically selected as string. So that item would be already of type string. If it is a list of integer, that item would be already an integer. So they have removed that option, because if you have a list of integer, definitely that the item is going to be of integer, right? So you don't need to worry about it. It will work as an integer only. So you just try that, it will be there. SAP automation is available, not with me, Krishan. Reason for that, SAP is a paid version. It does not have a community edition. We do not get the free version. And I don't have a license for SAP, so that's why I don't have any videos on SAP. But I have seen some of the tutorials which are available on UiPath community channel, where people has done the SAP automation tutorials, and you could see, just Google it, SAP automation with UiPath. You should see it, right? But it's not available with me, unfortunately.
Hi Mukesh, good evening.
Hey, Vishnu.
Yeah, thanks. It's very insightful, and we are up to date with the UiPath releases. So thank you so much for this time. And one more thing I would like to know regarding the high density robots and high density environments. So what is this? Is it both are same, or is it a different concept together?
Okay, so high density robot, see, whenever I say, okay, I have a counter question to you again. Okay, what do you mean when I say robot? What do you mean when I say robot?
It's a machine or a user that is going to work in a particular virtual machine.
Can I say that whichever license is hooked up to UiPath Assistant, that is a robot? It's not machine, right? So if I say a robot, that means that who is going to execute that automation, right? That is a robot assistant.
Yeah.
High density robot is a concept where I have a computer. Okay, I have a server machine and I have 10 developers. Now I cannot, okay, one option is definitely to give 10 different computers to 10 developers. The other option is I can have a Windows server machine. I can divide the same machine into 10 different cores or 10 different, I would say, users, 10 different sessions, right? So you might have seen in the company that they have a computer, and then they create different users who log into the same computer with their same ID. The same concept applied to the robot. I get a big server machine and I divide that into different areas as per the robot. So machine would be same, but that machine would be hooked up to 5 robots, 6 robots, 10 robots. All the robots would be working on the same machine, but having a separate sessions. Concept is called high density robots.
In the same one license key, let's say.
No, license would be again depending on what kind of license you have, right? So let's say robot, I have 5 robots. So that means that 5 robots have individual unattended license, right?
Okay.
It's only the machine is not different. All of them are hooked up to the same machine only.
But running in a different sessions.
Different sessions, yes. And one problem which you would may face here, which I has experience, is that let's say Vishnu, Krishan, Mukesh, Ravinder, 4 of us are using our robots in the same machine, right? And now Ravinder tried to kill the Excel. Now chances are there that Krishan is using that Excel in his automation, right? So that time server machine gives you an error saying that, hey, you cannot kill the Excel because Ravinder is using it. So that's why UiPath has given you that option of kill process as per user. So you say that don't kill it for, they kill it only for me. So these all activities are also evolving because of that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mukesh.
Okay, so we are already 15 minutes past. Thank you guys again for joining this session on this evening. We would have recorded this session and it would be available on the channel. You can share it with your friends, colleague. I will again share my LinkedIn contact details, right? You would always see that on my channel as well, but for the people who are not already connected, feel free to connect to me on my social media. If you practice it, we have shared all the codes, everything on my website, mukeshkala.com. So you can share practice use cases from there as well. These are the sites. Feel free to write me on the email. You can drop me a comment as well. If you have any questions, write it in the channel, drop an email to me. And I would appreciate your feedback on this session. You can use LinkedIn also. That would help me to grow my network. With this, we'll wrap up. Thank you guys. Have a good day. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, guys.